Alexander-Arnold, it's running!
From doubter to believer.
Well, isn't that some pretty damn epic music to welcome us into a new era of the LFC couch? Nick Koloski, how are you feeling, my good friend?
I am very well, Nish. A little bit tired, a little bit sore, not just from the fantastic event we hosted on the weekend, but from a lot of moving and furniture moving as well. So squeezing the special event we're about to talk about that just passed in between moving furniture and moving premises, I think I did pretty well.
Well, when you're living in the big time, Nick Koloski, it's hard to stay still. You're clearly a man of international mystery, so good to see. Great to see you down at Ultra Football as well this weekend. What an amazing kit launch that is. We got our hands on the kit. I'm wearing it right now. It's tight. I feel incredibly insecure. So, but how did you find the event anyway?
Mate, the shirt looks fantastic on you. I don't know what you're worried about. But the event was great. We got to see many a Liverpool fan that came down to Ultra Football on the Saturday and saw the kit in person. And I did get a couple of interviews with some fans and got their thoughts on the kit and their expectations on whether they liked it or they didn't. But remember, it's not just the Vapor kit. There's also the Stadium version as well. So we're going to talk about that at some point later on in the week or maybe early next week. But also to add to that, just seeing the football, how we say, family, for lack of a better term, who are outside of Liverpool, but also within Liverpool. So we had Lucy Zelic, who came down. Daniel Garb, of course, hosted the event. So big shout out to Daniel Garb for that. Corey Gamero come down as well. So Lucy and Corey with little Miller, their little one. Having a fantastic afternoon. We also had Michelle Escobar from Opta Sports have a bit of a chat, drop down, got the kit on as well. Matt Yerman, former Sydney FC, current Western Sydney Wanderers A-League defender, was down for the event as well. And a big shout out to Adamo from Ultra Football for catering to us. And of course, LFC New South Wales were there as well, doing their membership sales. And also there was a food donation drive as well. So it was a massive Saturday. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was awesome. And I saw LFC New South Wales actually got a shout out by the LFC Foundation for the work they did for Food Banks Australia, which is an amazing cause. A lot of people donated food. A big shout out to Pharmacy Mart down in Fairfield for donating $1,000 worth of goods to food banks. So just huge thank you to everyone. We had some great sponsors. We had Color Effects Painting Group. We had Liberty Financial. We had LFC New South Wales, of course. We had Claymore Wines, who are sponsoring today's episode. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. And last but not least, we had Pharmacy Mart, who I just mentioned. So what a great day. We had Game Changers as well. They came down. They sponsored one show, and that's coming out on Friday. So please look out for the Friday show to see Game Changers being used by Peter Kafinas and George Xanthus. It's such a cool product for any coach, any footballer out there. So, but Claymore Wines is today's special special sponsor, should I say, because they donated $1,000 of kit and of giveaway for people to win over the next couple of weeks. And for those of you who are listening for the first time, yes, we are going to be giving away 2 shirts courtesy of Claymore Wines today. I'm so excited. It's the first time I've ever given something away. So it's going to be pretty cool. So, but firstly, just so you know, we are going to be playing 2 clips from the event today. And both those clips were actually recorded before the Blackpool game. So if you're expecting a bit of Blackpool talk, unfortunately, there's not going to be any in those clips. But Nick, Scouse Billy playing in the back, made one error. But apart from that, pretty much Maldini / Van Dijk mixed together to be one single gigantic human being.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty decent match. I didn't think it was that bad. First half was a little bit so-so, but boys really turned it on in the second half, I'll tell you what.
My boy Curtis, Taki came in strong. Those goals, it's good. It's good. And Harvey Elliott, mate. Ballon d'Or, just hand it to him.
I was going to say Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, having played in the reserves, you would imagine they teamed up and linked up very well. I think the goal for Origi, courtesy of the assist from Curtis Jones, second assist was from Harvey Elliott. Quick little feed out, little dink over the top. Yeah. Jones in acres of space. Ball goes into that, no man's land region between the goalkeeper and defender, and Origi taps it in at the back post. So it was a very well worked goal, but nice to see the other guys scoring. Matip needed the minutes. I noticed Keita played pretty much a whole game, which if you want to read a little bit into that, perhaps that might be, maybe thought of him starting perhaps and maybe getting his fitness really up and running. And of course, to see some of the other guys like, as you mentioned, Elliott, to see him actually get some minutes, Minamino scoring a goal, Firmino getting his goal, and of course Bobby scoring with a little back heel. It's a friendly game, but you still need the skill and the talent to pull something like that off. Mane got a very Sunday league goal. I think ball came to him, he took a shot, keeper saved it, off his head, off the crossbar, and then taps it in like it's something ridiculous.
We've seen worse. We've seen worse over the years. That was
we
good.
have.
A goal's a goal, as they say.
Exactly right. Doesn't matter how he goes in, as long as he goes in. But the only other player you'd probably not fear for, but you probably say there are some question marks there, is probably Mohamed Salah, because he hasn't really been in a rich vein of form. And might I add, ever since he cut his hair. So think about that.
Samson recreated into Mohamed Salah.
His power lies in his locks.
It's still preseason, of course. We've only played preseason games, so he's probably going to score 4 goals against Leeds, and they'll be like, "Hey,
please prove me wrong." I don't want to be right. I want to be wrong, please.
It's just if he just shaves the whole thing off, he'll just score 50 in a season. It's all good. So we'll see how it rolls. Hey, so before we go on too long, and this could be the first podcast for a whole bunch of people, so we don't want to make it a super long pod. So to preface exactly what's going to happen in this pod, we are about to do a prize draw for the first shirt, and then sometime through the rest of this podcast, we will be giving the second shirt. But in the middle, you're going to hear a chat with myself and Daniel Garb up first. If you don't know who Daniel Garb is, he is the guy that every Australian football fan was jealous of for many years when he was working for Fox Sports, being the Premier League correspondent, going around all of the stadiums, watching all the games live, being sideline in places like Anfield, because he's actually a huge Red, talking to all who's who in football, and I got to chat to him, which is just amazing. So he's an absolutely fantastic guy. He has his own podcast called Greats with Garb. So check it out if you want to hear more. He's an amazing person. So what we'll do a quick shirt giveaway, and then next, we also had a chat between Daniel Garb and Michelle Escobar. And if you don't know Michelle Escobar, she is the Australian presenter for Optus Sports. She came down to say hi to us because she's an absolute legend as well. Another great chat. Hearing these two people who they're football presenters, their entire life is based around speaking football. It's just a joy to listen to. So please stick around, win that shirt. Fingers crossed for all of you. And if you do hear your name anytime in this episode, it's going to be released around 8 p.m. Sydney time on Monday, what date is it? The 7th?
7th, yeah.
You will have 24 hours. So you will have until 8 p.m. Tuesday to come forward to us and say, that's my name. You called it out. I want my shirt. Give me my Vapor Nike shirt. So, Nick, without any further ado, I do need to read out this one thing for Claymore Wines. They are sponsoring that, and I asked, would you like me to read anything? They said yes. So I'm going to read this out first, and then we're going to get into it. So, Claymore Wines from the beautiful Clare Valley in South Australia concentrates its attention on 2 things: making great wines and supporting LFC and all things Liverpool Football Club. Claymore's catchphrase of "a passion for great reds" is no tongue-in-cheek throwaway line, rather it's a real statement of intent. Over 20 years, they have honed their skills and now widely known for the wonderful value for money red and white wines, but equally the whole Claymore team are fanatical supporters of the Reds. Bringing together their love for all things wine and LFC, Claymore has been producing a great range of LFC-related wines for a number of years, including their You'll Never Walk Alone range of Sauvignon Blanc and Grenache Shiraz Mataro, and Boot Room Shiraz, and their famously signature series Reserve Shiraz that has featured both Ian Rush and Robbie Fowler. I've had the Ian Rush one, by the way. I had it at my wedding. It is awesome. So just throwing that little bit in there. The most recent addition to Claymore's LFC range is the 2018 vintage You Never Walk Alone Premiership Cabernet Sauvignon. A celebration of pure quality both on and off the pitch. Oh, what a season. This wine, according to Claymore's sales manager, may well be the best Cabernet they have put in a bottle in a 21-year history. Perfect for the cellar or as an addition to your LFC display. For more on Claymore Wines, please go to www.claymorewines.com.au. That's spelled CLAYMORE wines.com.au. And while you're there, have a look at the special they have on the Champions Celebration 6-pack. Just ridiculous value for money. A 6-pack of wine that is Liverpool focused based on us being champions. Top me up. It's gonna be a messy week. So,
Man, drinking red with the Reds, how good is that? Like,
It
what
is
else do you
amazing.
want?
Yeah.
What else do you want?
and there's such good people over there. Damon, Carissa, Anura, they're all just such good people. So please head down, at least check out their website, take a look, because the artwork alone on those bottle of Reds, it is fantastic. So just take a look-sees, and if you're feeling fancy and you want to get something for your significant red other, please buy one or many from Claymore Wines. All right, Nick, are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's go. Let's go like a Wheel of Fortune type of thing. Just spin the wheel, see where it lands.
Since we're on Zoom, I'm going to share my screen, see if you can see it. So I've got...
I can. Yep.
Yeah, so if anyone wants proof that we're being completely legit, I've got the video, god damn you. So what we've done over the course of the last week or so, we've been getting people's names from Instagram, Twitter, meeting you live at Ultra Football. And so we've put it all down. We have 79 names only. How dare you? So hopefully the next one's going to be big. So we have 7 LFC Nike Vapor kits. Now these guys are like $210 Australian each. And we also have 8 $50 Ultra Football vouchers to give away. But today, right now, we're giving away 1, thanks to Claymore Wines, Nike Vapor kit. After 3, do you want me to hit that generate button?
Let's go. Let's count it down, Nish.
1, 2, 3, generate. Number 31.
31.
31. It is Mac Helps. Mac Helps, you have won yourself your very own Nike LFC Vapor Kit. You're the first winner. Remember, there is still 6 more to go. We're giving another one away in this episode. So, Mac, congratulations. You're an absolute legend for winning that. You're the first one. And without any further ado, Nick, let's just head over to listen to myself chat with Garby. And you guys out there will... We'll come back to give away another shirt very soon, so stay tuned. Bye.
My name's Nish, the host of the LFC Couch. It's so good to see everyone here. It's so good to see all the guests that have been here throughout the day, the interviews that have happened, thanks to a certain Mr. Daniel Garb sitting next to me, and all the sponsors and LFC New South Wales, and everyone's here. And look, Dan, you've spoken, you've hosted basically every interview all day today, and I thought now's a good opportunity to have you sit down, be interviewed yourself. How have you found today so far?
This is fantastic, mate. I'm absolutely loving it. As a Liverpool fan, it's one aspect of it to see, the supporters club here in New South Wales, and I've been lucky enough to have a bit to do with them over the years. They are awesome. I mean, we are so lucky to have a football club that can have a supporter group like this in our own backyard. It's amazing. And this place, Ultra Football, where I've been lucky enough to visit a number of times, it's football heaven. It's just like a playground for a football fan like me. And to have a day like this dedicated to Liverpool is just fantastic. So delighted to be here. And the job that you guys are doing at the LFC Couch, you're a world-renowned LFC podcast. To be involved, I've been on your pod before, but to interview some people today and just celebrate what is such a cool day for Liverpool Football Club, mate, I'm loving every minute.
Mate, it's just a pleasure to have you here. And I know the last time when we did a podcast with you, you came to my little dinky one-bedroom apartment in Chatswood, and we sat down around my glass coffee table and had a yarn. And now we're in a gigantic warehouse surrounded by Liverpool fans, some incredible sponsors we'll bring up soon, and some of our Liverpool New South Wales family. And we've had amazing memories in Cheers Bar over the years. I still tell friends about the 13-14 season against Manchester City where Coutinho scores to help us win that game. And I still smell the beer in my hair from that night where I was showered quite dramatically by all the fans in Cheers Bar. And look, to sit down now all these years later and just go, wow, this is such a special thing to do as a fan. And to get closer to Reds and get closer to people like yourself, it's a really special feeling.
It's so good being a Liverpool fan and having those moments. I've supported the club since 1989. I was 5 years old, and to think of some of the moments where I've been in Australia but also around the world, and you've been in these environments when Liverpool fans come together, it's such a special family. The first moment for me when I remember the power of this club, I went on an overseas trip and I was 17. I was in South Africa when we famously, of course, beat Arsenal in the FA Cup final, 2001, Michael Owen's late double.
The Owen double.
And I was in a sports bar, and I remember not having no idea of how many fans would show up. And going to a sports bar with my mates thinking we'll watch the FA Cup final there, and the place just being rammed from the front to the back. And, I mean, the noise when Liverpool won that game was just one of the most electric things I've ever felt in my life. And I was already an ardent fan by then, but it just went to another level. And then to have those moments here in Australia at Cheers Bar with the LFC New South Wales family, you know, the Champions League finals, the big league games that have clinched, be it Champions League places or crucial games en route to title wins, it's special. And, you know, we rock up there sometimes at 3 a.m, 4 a.m, we're dog-tired, you've got work the next day, but you know that it's worth it because we can sit here and talk about it years later and just how special they are. So, yeah, I mean, other fans of other clubs have those moments too, but it's another level with Liverpool. And as the club says, it means more.
It definitely means more. And talking about those moments like in Cheers Bar again, you know, people rammed outside the door for hundreds of meters to come. I remember the last 2 Champions League finals that we were in, and both times seeing the line all the way down George Street, getting in there at about 8 p.m., us doing the LFC Couch had to do live shows at Cheers Bar as the build-up show to the final. So we had to be annoyingly sober for quite a lot of the time. The game kicks off at 6 a.m. And we're like, oh my God, this is what it's like to be a Liverpool fan in Australia. But we love it because it's so tribal. It's so electric being in a bar. Everyone knows you're in there at 8 p.m. and you have to watch the game at 6 a.m. And what do you do to fill the time in between? We try and stay sober, try and stay awake. But then to lose that first one against Madrid was painful. But then to come back the year later and win it and not want to sleep for another week afterwards, that's what makes us special over here.
Well, I was lucky enough to be in Liverpool for the Champions League victory over Spurs in the city. And, man, I haven't seen anything like that in my life. I mean, there were so many people, I was there for work, but so many fans from Australia who flew to Liverpool because they worked out they couldn't get a ticket in Madrid. Even if they got a ticket, they couldn't get accommodation. Even if they did, they'd probably have to mortgage their house 5 times to pay for accommodation for one night. It would be too expensive, so they went to Liverpool and enjoyed the moment there. And, I mean, that parade the next day after we won, I remember lining up for the parade at, you know, for work reasons, but getting ready at sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon and thinking, oh, this is pretty big. By the time the bus came around where we were stationed, I mean, it was just insane, the noise and how many people were there. And they had to put them on such a big bus route because if they made it any smaller, the crowd crush would have been too huge. There were just too many people in the area. So it just shows the magnitude of the club, the power of the club. Fans from all over Europe came to Liverpool just to celebrate that weekend, and there was just nothing else like it in terms of a football experience. So, yeah, very lucky to have enjoyed some of those moments, and we'll continue to through, the Liverpool's New South Wales supporter group, which is a powerful one here.
Definitely. And to go back to the segue that I slightly missed before, you mentioned this meaning more. So if the people in Ultra Football right now don't know, there is a thing called the This Means More Challenge that Liverpool have put out to the OLSCs around the world, because what can we do right now on off-season? Well, we can try and give back to the community. We are a massive community, so let's give back to those in need the most. And Justin Engelbrecht and the Liverpool New South Wales team who look after the charity have decided as well for today, we are taking part of the challenge by looking after Food Banks Australia. And I've spent some time in the actual food bank, in the warehouse, putting food together, seeing where it's going to, different churches, charities, religious groups all around Australia who are there also helping people in need. And so today, while you're here in Ultra Football, please head down to the Liverpool, New South Wales area. They are taking donations of food and gold coin as well to help people in need. And frankly, help those and being part of the Liverpool family and what we actually mean to the community. And that means giving back and being good human beings in general, to say the least.
Exactly right. And I think it's part of the Liverpool culture as well. Liverpool is very much about the working family and looking after every single person in society, and that is the club's DNA, and I think that's why they've been so successful with Jurgen Klopp at the helm. Not that other managers haven't grasped that, but Jurgen's taken it to another level, and it's great that Liverpool's connected over here to a charity like that because it's what the club's all about, so well done to all involved.
100%. And thank you so much again to Liverpool New South Wales. You guys have been huge supporters of us. I've been a member for a long time, and I will continue to be a member every single year. Keep up the amazing work. It's just, you're a special group of people.
I signed up today. See, I've been lucky that I've been invited to so many events by Liverpool New South Wales in the past that I thought, I don't really need to be a member. They keep inviting me anyway. But I signed up for $20 today.
Woo!
It is nothing. It is nothing. Your lunch will cost more. So if you haven't made the effort yet to sign up for Liverpool New South Wales, you're a Reds fan in Australia, make sure you do it, support it, and even if it means you go along to one function a year, it's worth it for the atmosphere that the club generates.
Excellent. And on top of that, I mean, we have some amazing sponsors as well for this event. They are also huge Reds, of course. So I'd like to give a really quick shout out to the people who have sponsored the event today, because without them, frankly, we wouldn't be able to give away shirts. We wouldn't be able to run the event. We wouldn't be able to keep doing this because we are a free podcast. You can listen to us for free. So the sponsors mean everything. So first off, Color Effects Painting Group. Please, if you need some painting done in New South Wales, and Peter Gafinas, if he wants to come and say a quick thing about them as well, please reach out to Color Effects Painting Group. They are incredible and huge Reds. That should make a big difference. So I'm sure their Reds are very deep and vibrant as well. So hope for that. Also, Liberty Financial. We got them here as well. Con Xanthus has come down to actually help out. And if you recognize the Xanthus name, he is obviously the father of George Xanthus, my first ever guest on the couch. He's been with me for a whole 4+ years and keeps pushing me in the right direction to make sure I stay true to keeping this pod going. So thank you, Con. You can see me right now. I'm looking right at you. Amazing what you've done. Thank you so much for sponsoring the event too. We also have Pharmacy Mart. They actually sponsored a few podcasts in the past. They actually already also donated $1,000 worth of goods to Food Banks Australia. So Justin went over to the Pharmacy Mart shop in Fairfield, picked up the $1,000 worth of goods, donated it. And once again, just showcases, they don't just give money, they give the goods. They are there to look after the community. So thank you so much. And finally, the major sponsor of the day, Claymore Wines, out of South Australia. Anura, Carissa, the whole team are just phenomenal human beings, and the wines are incredible. They are world-class wine.
I've been lucky enough to go out to the winery in South Australia when John Barnes was here for a special day in the countryside of just outside Adelaide, and it's awesome. It's an awesome setup, and being there with John Barnes, enjoying a lunch, enjoying the wines, he loved it, and it was great being there with him. And then here in Sydney as well, there's been a special edition brought out for Ian Rush, a special edition brought out for Robbie Fowler. They're an amazing ambassador for the club and the official wine provider of the club as well. And when you see guys like Rush and Fowler come out and they just love the wine but love being connected with the company, it's amazing that it's an Australian brand that's doing that. So well done to them and all the sponsors involved. It's a credit to you all.
100%. And one of my cringiest moments in my memory of all time, unfortunately, had to do with Claymore Wines, because I went there one of their little extravaganzas at their winery. They fed me quite a lot of beautiful food and quite too much wine. And I sang You Never Walk Alone to Ian Rush, and I don't think it was very good. So I think back to that moment and go, what was I thinking?
You'll never walk alone. Singing it's like eating pizza from Nonna Azzurri. It's always going to be good. It's a tune, of course, that always evokes great memories and emotions. So I couldn't have been that bad, Nishi.
Yeah, well, I'll leave that for the memory banks. I think there is some kind of video evidence, but I'm not going to dig it out anytime soon. So Garby, the season ahead, a lot of expectations, a lot of things that could happen, a lot of transfers that could still happen between now and October 5th. What are your expectations for the club?
Look, I think we'll not challenging, I think we'll be a massive contender again, and I think there's every chance we can win it again. I mean, look at the gap that needs to be closed. I mean, it's a huge points gap, and the others have got to make up the ground. And by all reports today, Lionel Messi won't be joining Manchester City to help them, so that's good news. It's still Liverpool's title to lose, and I think we need to have that mentality going into the season. Chelsea have done incredible work in the transfer market. City will be better. You'd imagine United and Arsenal will improve as well. Spurs we're not too sure about, but there's still a big gap there that is ours. And the mentality of the players I wouldn't worry about one bit. The style, I think, is still so dominant. The quality in the first 11 is unquestionable, and there's still some depth there. Do we need one or two signings just to, along with Costas, the left back as well, just to boost things up a little bit? Perhaps. And Thiago would be a wonderful addition, I think. But if there aren't going to be any signings, I'm not going to be dismayed. I'm not going to say, well, we've stuffed it up, we can't win it again. Not by any stretch. I still think the mentality of the squad under Klopp is enormous, and the talent there is wonderful. And look, if we get a couple injuries, yeah, that's a concern. Be it to a Virgil, be it to one of the front three. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. But if it does, that could be challenging. But they're doing something incredible behind the scenes, because every season we say that, and every season they stay fit. So hopefully that's the case again. And we've still got some excellent support. Hopefully one or two signings to give us a bit more confidence. But, if you had to pick a winner for me right now, I still think it's the Reds.
Good to hear. And taking into account, I'm going to preface this question with, we have just won the league for the first time in 30 years. What would be the lowest bar for you in regards to an adequate season for Liverpool this season?
Great question. I mean, the lowest bar is merely to be in the title race up to our eyeballs right till the end. That's the lowest bar. If we still have a great season, but City goes to another level, and they edge us out the season like they did a couple seasons ago, well, so be it. I mean, it's very hard to compete with a club that spends that much money and has a quality squad. They were down last season. I think they'll improve. But that has got to be our lowest expectation right now, is to challenge right till the end of the season. And I think that will be the lowest expectation for me. Obviously, Champions League, we want to have a very deep run in the competition once more. In terms of who you draw in the knockout stages and what happens with that, it's hard to make bold calls now about what exactly you want to happen. The Cups, are they a big factor, the League Cup and the FA Cup for Liverpool, when you're challenging for the League and the Champions League? No, to be honest. I'm not trying to sound ungrateful if those trophies come about, or arrogant as a Reds fan now, but the League and Champions League are our priorities. If for whatever reason we drop out of the Champions League early and we're still in the FA Cup or whatnot, yes, great. Nice to win that, which we haven't won for a little while now. But the lowest expectation for me is a title challenge right till the very end, and hopefully winning it, and a long run in the Champions League. It's got to be a bar that's set very high.
Has to be. It's a standard that a person sets, it's a standard that the club set. And frankly, we set that standard 30 years ago. And we haven't taken our eye off. That has to be the standard of the club. We just haven't achieved it for 30 years. So it's good to have that. And speaking of, you mentioned the League Cup, the FA Cup. Klopp has really used this as a supplementary title to blooding in what could be our future superstars, the Curtis Jones, the Nico Williams, the Billy Cometio, the people who are coming in now. Do you think he's going to just continue doing that this season long as well? Or would he really go, our squad is now big enough? Maybe we should go half and half, maybe. Half first teamers, half academy.
Look, I think the kids are good enough. I think Curtis, for example, and Nico Williams are good enough to step in and maybe not play, week in, week out, but certainly adds a lot to the bench. And look, those academy players coming through, as we've seen over the last few years, they're invigorating the older players. They're putting them under so much pressure because their quality is so high and they've got so much enthusiasm and they're so desperate to win over Klopp. So I think the mix he's got right now is working, and I think he'll probably keep it much the same.
Yeah, let's see. I really love the fact that we don't actually go for the League Cup. Yeah, I love it. It's just so many games at the same time. I will sacrifice every cup for the Premier League.
Oh, without a doubt. And no one can have a go at Liverpool for what they did last season in terms of the way in which they went about it. They had to sacrifice some cup competitions, and we'll probably do so again. But, these youngsters are also winning us some games in those competitions. And let's be honest, an Origi and a Minamino, certainly Minamino, I think, coming off the bench, will be able to take his game to another level this season, and that should help us win some more of those matches too. So I think there's reason to be encouraged about what a so-called second-string team can do going into this season as well.
Definitely. Now, forgetting any players that could potentially leave the squad, let's think about Thiago definitely coming in, 100% guaranteed, signed on the dotted line. I'm just making that up. But if he does come in, what do you think the best midfield three would be with him in?
That's a great question. Wow. I was thinking about this a lot over the last few days, because that's what we do as Reds fans. It's so hard. I wouldn't say it's like picking between your children, but it's not that far off, because we love them all and they're all so talented.
Do we though?
I think our best three our best three is Fabinho, Henderson, and then Thiago if he comes in.
Agreed.
I think that's our best three. If Thiago doesn't come in and Gini stays, which I think is unlikely, then it's probably Henderson, Fabinho, and Gini in there. But, I'm loving the Ox in there when he plays. Naby Keita
Curtis Jones.
went to another level. Curtis, I think, is still more of a pinch hitter. Milner's interesting. Let's be honest, he's the one player you looked at towards the end of the season you went, maybe his body's starting to give way a little bit.
Yeah.
And we can't rely on him as much anymore. He's getting older. He's picking up these little injuries, and that's a concern. But, Thiago coming in would be great. I think he's a cherry on the top kind of player, not a signing that Klopp would usually make at 29 for a lot of money. But you can look back and go, we're a title-winning team. We're a Champions League winning team from a season ago. We can afford to add a player like that.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see Gini leave because I love him. I just think in the big games, he adds so much to what Liverpool do. He gets on the ball, he drives the team forward. Even if he's not making the main assist or scoring the goals, he is contributing so much to the general play that leads to that. And he seems like such a popular squad member as well. But Klopp wouldn't be going for Thiago if he thought he couldn't add to the culture. And his quality is amazing. So I'd be happy with that trade, even if it's a controversial one. And I think Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson is our best midfield three, with then Keita and Ox as the next two to come in.
Great. And he strikes me as the kind of player that you could do like what we did with Virgil. First game, you signed him. First game, you're starting against Everton.
Yeah.
In this case, if we signed him before Leeds, miraculously, he could walk straight into the squad and contribute brilliantly.
Thiago's Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and now hopefully Liverpool.
Yep.
I mean, just look at that. Look at that production line. I mean, he's a guy that the best managers in the world and the biggest clubs in the world have not only signed, but relied on to be the number one playmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, his skill is exceptional. His football IQ is different class. And his ability to adjust to different environments, like we've seen when he moved to Germany, is unquestioned. So, coming to Liverpool and stepping in from day one like a Virgil, he's world class. That's what world class players do.
Yep.
And I think he'd be coming in and making us a better team straight away. And there's the intangible aspect with a Thiago type signing, which is putting players who have won the title under a bit of pressure, which is important. Making sure that they all have to elevate their games, even if they're not in direct competition, to make sure that we stay at the top. And that's the same for the strikers as well. He's going to come in and drive players on because he wants success in a new environment, and that puts everyone under pressure a little bit and on edge a little bit, which is only healthy, of course.
Yeah. Can you imagine being an opposition team and going, okay, let's attack. First, you have to get past Firmino because he's like an attacking striker. Then we have to try and get past a rabid Henderson who runs all day long, a Fabinho who has got the longest legs in the history of football somehow, then a Thiago who's just so nippy and quick and intelligent. And if we get past them, then we have to get past Robertson or Trent Alexander-Arnold. And if we get past them, we have to get past Virgil van Dijk and a very, very athletic Gomez. And if we get past them, we have to get past Alisson, the best goalkeeper in the world. So
well, that's why we haven't lost a league game in 3 years at Anfield, because it's one thing, of course, trying to manage that away from home, which is tough. But at Anfield, when you got the game on your own terms a bit more and you got the crowd behind you, it's just been too much for any team to overpower in 3 seasons, because every single line is so dynamic and so hard-working and full of quality. And, you look at the hunger there. It's not going to change for an Alexander-Arnold or a Robertson. In fact, it's only going to grow because they want to maintain their status as the best in their position in the world. Yeah. And the same for a Van Dijk. And, Joe Gomez this year, he wants to make sure that it's not Van Dijk being spoken about every week. He wants to be spoken about as, an England starting centre-back, and he wants to take his game up to a world-class level potentially. So everyone, I think, has reason to be motivated, and that's hugely exciting.
Yeah, and with those players, you can tell that every single one of them has got so much space to grow as well, except for maybe Virgil, because he's almost the perfect specimen of a human being, not being weird. But it's a bit weird. Yeah. But it's 100% true. On top of that then, so we have Leeds first up. I heard you speaking before about it. I don't want to go into a huge amount of detail. What is your score prediction for Leeds?
I think it'll be tough early on because, they've got a manager in Bielsa who will have them set up superbly. And they will come with a game plan to counter Liverpool. And let's be honest, they'll be full of so much motivation to put on a big show for what is a massive club and a huge set of supporters in their first game back in the Premier League for 16 years. But ultimately, our class will take over, especially at Anfield. So I think we'll win, maybe something like 3-1. I can see them maybe netting because they'll have such enthusiasm, but I think we'll be 2-0 up, they'll get one back, and as they push forward, we'll get the third and kill it off. So I'd say Liverpool 3-1 to kick off the season, but ultimately it's going to be such a special event. I think we'll love seeing Leeds back in the Premier League all season long. It is the perfect first up game, Leeds against Liverpool at Anfield. And let's be honest, as Aussie fans, we can enjoy the memories of Harry Kewell and Mark Viduka doing what they did for Leeds for so many years, even Big Duke scoring 4 against us. As an Aussie fan, it hurt, but I loved watching it too. I smiled, and their connection with Australia is so strong, and I think we will revel in that all season long.
Definitely. And I'm not going to say I wish them all the best or anything like that, because it's I know there's a lot of people who don't like Leeds for certain factors, so I'm going to stay very much on the fence. But yeah, I mean, we played Norwich, who won the championship last season. We started, I think that was 3-1 as well, wasn't it? So very good call. I'm going to call 3-1 as well. I think it's going to take a long time to get the first goal. I think it may take maybe 50 minutes to even get the first one, but then it'll be bang, bang, they'll lose a heart, then they'll get a scrappy last goal to make it 3-1. Bit of a consolation, give the fans something to go home happy with. But on top of all that, mate, you are also working. You've also got your podcast, The Greats with Garby. I listened to plenty of your episodes. I'm so excited and so happy to see you going more into the podcast world and that side too. How have you found it starting your podcast, and how's it going?
I've loved it. You've had to give me some technical support, which you've been very kind to do, Nish, which I've appreciated. But it's great. Greats with Garby and all your podcast networks. I've been lucky to get some big guests, including Jamie Carragher, who was good enough to join on and talk about Liverpool with me for over an hour, which was, you know, an amazing thing for him to do. And I know Liverpool fans here just loved every minute of it, and the numbers on it were fantastic. There are so many other podcasts there that you'll enjoy, but if you haven't listened to it yet, you're a Reds fan, go listen to Jamie talk about everything about his Liverpool career. I mean, the stories he tells are fantastic. He talks a bit about his relationship with Gary Neville, which I think is a wonderful television sports media dynamic, and then use that to go and listen to some other episodes that you'll no doubt enjoy across different sports as well. So I'm loving it. It's good fun. And whenever I get to talk Liverpool and talk football, it's something that I revel in.
It's great to see you, mate. And I wish you all the best for the podcast. I hope it grows as big as it should be, and you go and take over, and we can be the two big footballing podcasts in Australia one day. That'll be amazing. So, Garby, love having you on the couch, as always. Thank you so much for coming down. Thanks
so much. And you guys deserve enormous credit for what you've done today. And you know, all the bits of content we've been able to pump out has been fantastic. And just a great day to be a Reds fan here in Sydney. Up the Reds, mate. Let's go win it again. Let's do that. Let's do just that.
Now, wasn't that a great conversation, myself and Garby? Do you have fun with that, Nick?
I did indeed. I thought it was fantastic. The fascinating thing about Garb is his ability. I know you were asking the questions more so, but just his ability to, on the fly, think of something relevant to say and ask whoever is interviewing and make it seem like it's been rehearsed. I mean, that takes years and years and years of persistence and skill and experience in order for you to do that. So massive props to Daniel Garb for that. And as you rightly said, we used to watch him before Premier League was on Fox Sports. I remember I'd watch A-League from like 5 in the afternoon, and then Premier League would start, and then you'd go to bed at like 6 a.m. the next morning. So those were good times. Those were good times. And Daniel Garb was always there at Anfield, at Old Trafford, at Highbury, at the Emirates, Ellen Road, or at the bowling ground. Whoever was playing, whatever the big game was, he was there. So massive to have him on board. And it's a plus that he's a Liverpool fan too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw him loads of times at Cheers Bar too, and I remember the first time I saw him at Cheers, I was like, "Holy shit, it's Garb!
What's Garb doing?
Wow, this is crazy!" And the thing I picked up the most first off is how strong is his voice. God damn!
Yeah, he's got a beamer of a voice, and you can tell the way he projects his voice is just wow,
epic. Wow. Okay, cool. Should we give away the next one?
Let's do it. Let's count it down again.
Do you want
get another number going?
You do the countdown this time, and I'll hit the button.
Yes, indeed, sir. So we're gonna go after the count of 1. So we're gonna go Battle Goods. 3, 2, 1.
You can call it.
I can't see.
Oh, you can't see. So I realized I didn't share my screen. It was number 46, and it's Troy
46.
Haydos. Troy Haydos. I don't know if that's your real name, but Troy Haydos. If you're listening, you better be listening because we did all the work. All you had to do was listen to a free podcast. Congratulations. Troy Haydos, you have won the other kit courtesy of Claymore Wines today. So we had Mac Helps who won the first one. Troy Haydos has won the second one. Huge congratulations to you two, absolute legends. And that is just, I hope we make you happy. So please reach out to us. We can get those shirts sent out to you once we find out your sizes and whatever you want. So that's pretty impressive and courtesy of Ultra Football. So thank you. Now, Nick, next we have Michelle Escobar from Optus Sport. What can you tell us about her?
Yeah, as you said, one of the locals are Optus Sports, and we know Optus Sports have been the Premier League broadcaster for a few seasons now. Truth be told, a lot of us were skeptical when Optus Sports took it on the Premier League because Optus Sports were just a communications company, nothing really to do with live streaming or anything like that. And from my own personal experience with someone who actually works at Optus Sports during the 2014 World Cup, I believe it was, he actually consulted in myself and a few others who do an A-League related podcast on what we can do better, how we can accommodate people who stream and how to basically just deliver a better product because there were some glitches and things like that. So it's good to know that they've upped themselves. Or maybe it was the 2016 Euros. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was a few years ago. And Michelle Escobar, one of the highlights of Optus Sports. Again, Liverpool fan, football presenter. She's on a variety of TV shows on Optus Sports, and you can watch it to your heart's content because it's on demand. If it's not live, there's a replay of it somewhere. And she came down for the afternoon, had a bit of a laugh with us boys. We took a few snaps, got a jersey on. Daniel Garb interviewed her, and it was a good convo. Granted, we were trying to do a fair few things at the same time, so I'm going to be listening to the proper interview or the snippet of it when we play this now. So
yeah, it's real hard when you're essentially working, right? We're there trying to make sure everything's working, the audio's there, the microphones are working, but yeah, just listening to both of them sit there, and I did take time to make sure that I was just there going, wow, this is just very cool. It's not very often you get to see this happening. Dan Garb and Michelle Escobar having a chat about football, Liverpool, the kit, all the above. It's wonderful. So please have a listen. Both again to Mac and to Troy, congratulations for winning. But remember, those of you listening, we are releasing another podcast on Wednesday, Australia time, where Peter Kofinas and George Xanthus are going to be giving away another 2 kits, and you'll be able to hear the interview with Lucy Zelich, Corey Gamero, and Matt Yerman on the same podcast. So it's going to be absolutely brilliant. So look out for that. There's still 5 kits to give away. 2 more being given away this Wednesday. So please tune in. Tell your friends about the LFC Couch. We do try very hard to make you all happy. Have a very good day and night, everybody. And Nick, thanks a lot for coming along, dude.
thank you very much for the invite, Nish. And once again, big shout out to everyone who came to Ultra Football on the weekend. Shout out to all the Reds fans out there. And hopefully this time next week we'll be talking about an opening day win against Leeds, newly promoted Leeds once again. So,
and speaking of, we got some pretty dang good guests lined up for that. So trust me, you are gonna want to listen to these ones. So stay tuned. It's gonna be awesome. Thanks, Nick. You're a legend. Thanks all of you out there listening. Subscribe, tell your mates. Have a very good day and night, and goodbye.
Yeah, another special guest has joined me literally on the LFC couch. How good is this to be set up like this in this awesome environment here at Ultra Football for a very big day, the new Liverpool strip launch. Great to be on the LFC Couch podcast in conjunction with this Ultra Football special event and alongside a young lady who is a Liverpool fan, I think.
Yes, of course.
Just making sure, but also connected, of course, with Optus Sport, who are the broadcasters of the Premier League and the channel where we revelled in Liverpool's title triumph last season, of course. Her name is Michelle Escobar. She's with me now. Michelle, hello to you. It's a pretty cool day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to be here. I'm super excited. And yeah, I've got my kit on, so yeah, it's great.
We just got our new strips. It's an awesome feeling. It puts a smile on your face straight away, doesn't it, when you put it on?
Yeah, definitely. It's one thing seeing it, but the other thing being able to wear it. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. Like I was saying to you before, the teal on it is like, I like that added element to it. It looks really cool.
I mean, the home strip is unbelievable. The away strip's a little bit different, so some people might have polarizing views on it. You're a bit of a fashionista. What do you make of the away strip, which is a bit out there?
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's really cool, and the 90s vibe is coming back in, and you can see that with the away strip. And once again, the teal. I was quite surprised that it's teal, but then reading into it and the history that I think Nike have called it hyper turquoise is the term for it. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. I know not everyone is, but I reckon it looks awesome.
It's awesome, and it's probably one of those strips that you can wear outside of a football environment and feel a little bit fashionable. Now, talk to us about the name you're likely to get on the back. That's a big call for a lot of people. Which player are you leaning towards?
I'm thinking probably Van Dijk. Yeah, I think he's obviously an awesome player, one of the best in the world, one of the best defenders. So it seems natural to get his name on my shirt.
And as we were saying before, you've got to be careful that it's a player that doesn't leave. And Virgil, you would think, would be loyal to Liverpool for a long time. So even if he's not, even if he does leave eventually, I mean, he's already one of the best defenders, if not the greatest we've ever had at the club. So it's a fair call. Now tell us a bit about Optus Sport and the connection with Liverpool and how big last season was for Optus Sport as Liverpool went and claimed the title after 30 years.
Yeah, well, it was huge. The season before that, it was very close, obviously, just losing by a point. So to keep that momentum going into the next season was awesome. And, Australia has so many Liverpool fans, so all the games had so many viewers, and to be able to see Liverpool win the title the Premier League title for the first time in a 30-year wait was just, it was incredible. And anything that goes up about Liverpool gets so much traction, whether it's hate or love for it, someone's always got something to say about it.
That's the other side of it, isn't it? I mean, as much as Liverpool fans get behind anything that is posted on the Reds, I mean, rival fans, it's unbearable for them. So it works both ways, doesn't it, from a media point of view? Yeah,
definitely. It's kind of an easy win when we put Liverpool up. But when Liverpool did win the Premier League title, we had some fun with it. We, in the past, have been accused of being a bit Liverpool biased, but we try to be as balanced as possible, and everyone at Optus is a fan of all sorts of clubs, but we did Cloptus. So we put together just a little image of the Optus Sport bug with Klopp on it, and people loved it, and once again there were other people that were just fuming about it.
That's what you got to do sometimes to generate talk and discussion around things. I thought it was a great initiative, and I mean, let's be honest, there aren't too many clubs, if any, in Australia that can pull off something like this at a football store in Sydney. I mean, an entire day dedicated to a club. Maybe Manchester United, perished the thought, of course, from a Liverpool point of view, or Arsenal, because they got big followings here, but it's pretty clear that Liverpool's at a level above, and you can probably see that at Optus when you look at the numbers that come through for anything Reds related.
Yeah. All the games get more than about 50,000 to 80,000 viewers, and it's always huge. It's huge. It's always huge numbers, and I guess it's because Liverpool has had so much success from the 80s, obviously. So you have older fans and then the newer generation as well, and then having Harry Kewell there at some point with the Aussie connection. So Liverpool has always been a huge club in Australia, and it's great to be able to be a part of that with Optus Sport.
People often ask me that, why is Liverpool number one in this country? And I think in that period in the 70s and 80s, I mean, we live in a very privileged environment now with Optus Sport, with Fox Sports before that, where we could watch every Premier League game that we wanted. I mean, I grew up at a time, I'm showing my age a little bit, but so many others did, when you couldn't. I mean, you literally got one overseas football game a year, and that was outside of World Cups, of course, and that was the FA Cup final. We were lucky that Liverpool were in it a lot in the 70s and 80s, and I think that generated a lot of Australian fans. Then you throw in Craig Johnston scoring in one. Of course, that compounds even more. Harry Kewell joining. You win a Champions League in 05. You've got that song, You'll Never Walk Alone. That generates a bit more romance around it, which Australian fans love, of course, in a sporting sense. And it just rolled on from there, and it became this absolute juggernaut. When did you catch on the Liverpool bug, if you like, and become a Reds fan? What was the period for you?
For me, it was probably around the 2007-08 season. So to start off with, my family has always been into football and whatnot. My older brother was actually a Leeds fan, once again because of the Aussie connection, so I've always had a soft spot for them. But for me, it was Fernando Torres playing at Liverpool. He was my favourite player, and that first season that he was there, he was incredible. So that really won me over, because to start off with, when I started watching the Premier League, probably when I was about 12 or 13, coming from Australia, you're kind of a neutral and you're trying to figure out what team to go for, but there was something about Liverpool that really gravitated me towards them. And yeah, having Fernando Torres there was like, well, that's my team now.
He generated so many supporters, Torres. I mean, it was just such a special time when he was linking up with Stevie G and Xabi Alonso. I mean, that Alonso 14 shirt just brings up so many emotions for me, because I was a Reds fan long before, but Xabi's one of my all-time favourite players, if not my second favourite, behind John Barnes. It was a special time, wasn't it? There was just something, even though they didn't win a big trophy with Torres at the club, there was just something magical about the way they went about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just an exciting time, and Torres going on to score so many hat-tricks as well. It was just awesome to watch, and it's kind of like what they are now. They're just very entertaining, and it's just a pleasure for even a neutral to watch them. So yeah, that's what I think captivated me at the time.
And then Suarez attracted so many fans. Torres left. We were lucky Suarez came straight in. We've always had superstar strikers at Liverpool. You know, Fowler, Owen, Torres, Suarez. But now it's a different mix altogether. Now you've got, I mean, Mane and Salah are freaks, of course, but a different type of striker in Firmino, who's happy to do all the hard work and the dirty work for the others to score goals from the wings almost. It's a different kind of setup, but it's just working so well, and it's a pleasure to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And yeah, in the past, I guess there's always been that star striker, but now there's that front three that works so well. I think they've scored 250 goals together, so that's just insane. But on Suarez, actually, when Fernando Torres left, I was devastated by it, and I vowed that Chelsea would be my most hated club because of it. But then after that, when Suarez came along, I didn't know much about him, but yeah, I was just so captivated by his skill, and even now I just love watching his games. And also, he is one of those polarizing figures who has a lot of haters because of what he's done in the past, but you know you're never going to get a boring game with him.
And now he's gone to Juventus, of course, almost certainly. So how you fit those two egos, Ronaldo and Suarez, in the same dressing room is going to be fascinating to watch, but there'll be a big chance for the Champions League, of course. Transfer talk around Liverpool. What's it like in regards to the traffic there at Optus, and what are the articles or the players that Liverpool are being linked to at the moment that's generating most of the discussion?
Well, I guess Liverpool are being quite tame with the transfer market. Ismail Assar from Watford is of interest, and he'd be really good. I guess he caused a lot of pain for Liverpool in that loss in the season, so it would be great to have him on board. And also there's Thiago Alcantara from Bayern Munich, but yeah, it just seems like they're both very much in the air, so we'll see. But I mean, we've got a great squad at the moment anyway, so even if we don't get any additions, I think we'll be fine.
What do you make of all the comments that come through when you post anything about transfer talk or anything about Liverpool, and it's just fan after fan, announce Thiago, announce this, announce that? Do you ever sit there and go, wow, it's just out of control, some of the responses?
Yeah, but it's always great to see. Yeah, it's always great to see people getting involved, and that's what you want the most. And yeah, like I said before, with Liverpool, you're guaranteed to get more than a few opinions.
So, exactly right. Liverpool Leeds, a massive opening game of the season. So your brother's a Leeds fan. How big is that going to be in the Escobar household? And how big, of course, for Optus Sport? Because what a season opener it'll be.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm going to have to call up my brother and ask him. He's going to be, I guess a bit worked up about it. And then at Optus, Rich, our fellow presenter, he is a massive Leeds fan, like a very diehard. So I'm hoping that obviously Liverpool are going to win, so I can rub it in the faces of my brother and Rich.
But not too much, because Rich is still your boss, so you've got to be careful with how it all goes. And of course, we're going to see Mark Viduka scoring 4 goals against Liverpool at nauseum in the lead up to that game, of course, and for good reason. I think even as Australian fans, I remember watching that game, and as much as it hurt that Liverpool lost, I had a smile watching Viduka do that on such a big stage. It was incredible. I got a lot of solace, if you like, out of the defeat from what Viduka did. So no doubt that will be played on loop, basically, in the lead up to this opening game.
Yeah, well, that comes out every birthday of Mark Viduka. Any time that we mention Mark Viduka, that gets played all the time. So yeah, you're bound to see it on Optus on the Optus Sport app and on social.
Anytime Mark Viduka has a coffee, there's an excuse to roll out the video.
Yeah,
so let's pump it up
exactly.
because people love it. And Michelle, thanks so much. Good luck with the season with Optus Sport. Where can people catch some of the social work that you'll be putting up from the event today?
Yeah, so definitely on the Optus Sport Instagram, stories on the YouTube page, and yeah, always keep an eye out on the app and you can see everything there.
Michelle Escobar from Optus Sport, thanks so much. Good luck with the season ahead. Go the Reds, of course. And thank you again to the LFC Couch and to LFC New South Wales official fan group who do an amazing job as well. Great to see them here. It's a fantastic day. Thanks so much for being a part of it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Header.